He was
Unfortunately, it was Caitlin Clark's last game. I'm gonna shed a tear. I really enjoyed watching her the last 4 years in college. Of course, I'll be able to watch her in the WNBA.
I was going to say, why should it tear? I think it. I mean,
Well, it's because she didn't end up with a championship.
Well,
You know,
I guess she. I mean,
shut
yeah,
up
the
all the
college.
haters.
Yeah. Well, but I think, to me, I think she put the haters, or whatever, the haters to shame. And then with just look at the viewership right there. They weren't coming to see. They were coming to see people watching. They wanted to see the phenomenon of Caitlin Clark. They
I
wanted
would
to see
say like 16 million people out of 18.7 came
people
to see
who've
her.
never watched women's basketball watched women's basketball because of her. So,
Right. I mean, the ratings were up to 89% from last year when she was in that, so it doesn't mean too much. But 289% from 2022. The
mhm,
title game was the most watched non-Olympic women's sporting event ever on U.S. television
right.
after the 2015 Women's World Cup final between the United States and Japan. It was also the most watched basketball game, including NBA and WNBA, since 2019. So that includes a lot of the last four finals.
Mhm.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's very good. It's good. It's good for. I mean, it's good for sports. It's good for women's sports. Like I said, I mean, people who've always thought girls basketball. What is that? It's kind of boring. Or they'd watch the WNBA and like, okay. But now I think it's gonna, and it's gonna inspire a lot of young boys and girls. To
Mhm.
say, hey, I can do this. So this is cool. That's the main thing behind it. To be a hater, you got to look in the part like she's inspiring people, old and young, to watch a women's game, get interested, and that's what it's about.
Right. So my take on the game was that I'll start with Caitlin Clark because we start with Caitlin Clark because everything revolves around her. I thought she had a great first quarter, but for her, an average game because the defense was so good, but statistically a below average game for her because you don't always play against defense that's good. That is that good for her. And I don't think I think if they played a 5-game series, she'd have to have a great game for them to win anyway. Either
Yeah,
way, and they would win one game. If they played a 7-game series, they would win 1 or 2 games. I think South
right.
Carolina was clearly the better team.
Oh yeah, great. I mean, like I said, I mean, when she has the much dominance where she could win a game by herself, but with the way South Carolina's had a balanced offense and the better bench, 37-0. So
Yeah, there was two obvious reasons they lost, and one was the
yeah,
bench, and the other was the rebounding, which was 51-29.
right.
So, I mean, if you get 2 or 3 shots and the other team gets one, you're going to win. So
Yep, that's defense.
they only played like 6 players really. Iowa, they were missing one starter to a knee injury, Molly Davis. But be that as may, I also thought that Caitlin Clark looked a little tired at times and actually didn't demand the ball a few times. I think,
Yeah, she wasn't. She didn't get into that, like you said. She didn't get to that Michael Jordan mentality. Like, let me have the ball. Let me get going at least. Like they said, do a heat check. I mean, come down. She did a couple of so-called heat checks, but they were not good shots. They were just like this. She kind of threw it up there. I'm like, that's not a good shot.
I think it's tough when the entire defense revolves around trying to stop one player, and none of your other 4 players are great players or even really good players. And so that takes a lot of energy out of her, and it takes a lot of energy what she does anyways because everything revolves around her, and she cuts a lot when she doesn't have the ball. But so I think she looked tired 2 games in a row, and this game she had a little bit of excuse because they had less than 2-day rest. The other time they had a 4-day rest, but
Mm.
like I said, it's tough when the defense is very aggressive on you. I will say that the official, unlike last year, was excellent and very fair, and I'm glad they didn't allow the defenders to clutch grab and hold Clark like they did against West Virginia and against Connecticut. They called
Yeah,
the
it was clean.
fouls.
It was a general clean game, refereed very cleanly, very fairly.
My only observation about coaching was for Lisa Bluter was I was confused why Hannah Stokey was not
Yeah.
in the fourth quarter. She was in the beginning, then they took her out for I don't know how many minutes, but she didn't get back in until like 2 minutes were left. I think she went out with like 6 minutes left. They,
Right.
she should have played the whole fourth quarter. She only had 2 fouls.
Hmm.
And the only reason I can think of is she was tired from covering 6'7" Camila Cardoza, because just bodying up and stuff like that. But O'Grady's a little
Yeah.
bit bigger. Maybe she was defending, and the coach thought she was defending her better. But they didn't need defense at that point. They needed offense. They need to. They really close. And when Stokey's in, Clark plays better because Stokey likes to run the court, and she
Right.
hits
Exactly.
really good passes. So
Yeah.
I think that was a mistake. But who knows? Maybe Stokey was tired. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know what
They,
the
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah. I agree with you. She was either she was tired, or I don't know what the thinking was behind that coaching. Like she was when Clark got the rebound, she would release and almost have a layup every time. With the outlet. So I mean, Clark outlet remind me of Wes Unseld with that outlet, which is kind of cool. And she got the rebound, full court pass. I'm like, nice.
So of course the haters have come out in full tilt now that she hasn't won a championship. First, they asked Brianna Stewart, which is pretty convenient considering she went to Connecticut, a stacked Connecticut team, and won 4 championships.
Yeah.
She didn't go to Iowa. And they asked her if she had to win a title to be the GOAT. And she goes, "Oh, yes, of course." And then she gave this silly explanation why. And then Diana Taurasi, she was with Sue Bird. And
Right.
they were doing on
ESPN.
ESPN. They were doing their own little show like the Manning brothers do on Monday Night Football, except it wasn't nearly as interesting from what I can tell.
No, I turned away.
And this was the quote. This was after during it. She was asked who they would take between Paige Beckers, who went to Connecticut, same school, or Clark, which was for the draft, but it was just strange because Beckers isn't even coming out. But anyways, she said she would take Beckers. Next question, really curtly, she said it. And then that's what Diana Taurasi said. Sue Bird gave a conflicting answer. First, she said she would pick Clark because she would bring all the fans in and get momentum for the team. And then she said, talent-wise, you could make an argument for Paige. So she gave like a two. She basically said both. But then after that, I'm sorry, Scott Van Pelt on Sports Center asked her about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA, and this is exactly what she said. I'll read it to you so I don't misquote her. "Reality is coming. There's levels to this thing. That's just life. We all went through it. You see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side. You look superhuman playing against some 18-year-olds, but you're going to play with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball for a long time. Not saying it's not going to translate, because when you're great at what you're doing, you're just going to get better. But there's going to be a transition period when you have to give some grace as a rookie. It may take a little longer for some people." I'll let you go first, Rob, on this one.
What do we call it? A backhanded compliment? Not even that. I mean, so what did she play when she was? Who did she play against when she was in college? What were their age of that? What were the age of the?
Last I checked, exact same ages, and they weren't 18-year-olds. They were 18 to 22-year-olds, and Caitlin played against 18 to 23-year-olds because of the COVID year.
Right.
So probably a little bit older that she played against on average than what she played against. So the other thing is she said 18-year-olds.
Yeah.
She didn't play against 18-year-olds. She played against 18 to 23-year-olds. That's a big difference.
Right.
And she also hinted that she didn't think she would immediately translate because she said it may take a little longer for some people. We all know the transition is great from college to pros. I would say a bright 12-year-old who follows sports knows that. But I would argue it's not as great as they think.
Especially when
with the person is really great.
Especially with the WNBA. You're not going to NBA, men's NBA or NFL where you think you're going to come in and
there's not as much depth in the WNBA as there is in the
exactly. So the chance of her thinking that she might just come in and not make any kind of a factor is totally wrong, especially with the WNBA. I'm sorry.
But let me just give you some background on this. We'll see how long it takes for Clark to be great, but I think she's going to be first team All-Pro, but at least second team All-Pro. But And 11 women in just 27 years did that, first or second team All-Pro. Candace Parker was MVP her rookie season. So let that sink in. The gap's not as big as they make it sound for the great ones. Like I said, Taurasi's almost 42 years old.
Yeah.
She should be more concerned that Clark doesn't drop 50 on her one night than trying to take her down a peg. And that could happen because Taurasi is not known for her defense.
No,
she has the same type of defense as Clark, basically. Yeah. That's not her strong suit. Like I said, it's not Clark. When this jealousy is ridiculous. It's not Clark's fault that she's more exciting than Taurasi. She gets a lot more publicity and makes a lot more money with the NIL and the offer to play in the Big Three. That's not her fault.
Yeah, so I was just reading again today that some people would still, like I said, the women are just very jealous and very catty people. That's just the way. That's just their makeup.
The more I see what's happening with Caitlin Clark, the more I believe that that's what you said is true.
I told you I've been around women, and then I talked to my wife who said that. She goes, "Yeah, they are." I'm like, so I mean, that's a woman admitting that women are like that. It's not being a male chauvinistic. It's a fact. I think it's a fact.
I mean, I think it was a mistake by Taurasi to say that. And because Clark has Michael Jordan's brain. And we all know how Jordan used the smallest slight to motivate himself. And Clark is going to do that when they play. And maybe Don Taurasi is still better than Clark right now. I don't know until they play against each other. But she's 42 years old. I know some people think that's blasphemy to say that, but she's 42. She'll be 42 in 2 months. By the end of the year, it wouldn't surprise me, by the end of the season, 40 games and playing, if she plays in the Olympics, I wouldn't surprise me she's better than Taurasi by the end of the year. So,
yeah, I think, like I said, just for her to say that, she's just starting out. She still has a game to improve in her game. So, I mean, that's kind of scary. Like I said, we compare like Michael Jordan when he came in, he was a lousy jump shooter. But if she
I don't know about lousy, but he didn't have.
No, he was not good. He was not a good jump shooter.
That's lousy is a little strong. I'm gonna have to correct you on that.
No, he was lousy. He was lousy. You go look up his stats when he first came in. He was not a good jump shooter, but he worked on his game, and that's what she's going to do. She's going to work on that little mid-range game and work on her defense, and just keep improving, and then keep that attitude of like, I want to play hard, and hopefully. I hope that she has a mentality of with the stupid social media. Just block that out and go out there and have fun. Play basketball, have fun. Who cares about what these people? Who cares what these people say? I wouldn't even care. Like, so what? Who are you?
Well, she's in the WNBA. Now, Rebecca Lobo is not. She's just a commentator. And I'm going to give you an example of what a non-jealous person who doesn't feel threatened by Clark says. This is what Lobo wrote. She wrote, I believe she will put up MVP caliber numbers as a rookie. While her opponents will be at a different skill level than in college, her teammates will be at another level as well. Right. Her game translates. And that seems rather obvious to me. Her passing is the best passing I've ever seen in a woman in the history of women's basketball, college or pro. That translates very easily to the pros. Her teammates will be better, even though the defenders will be better. Right. And also, her three-point shooting with the accuracy and the reach that she has, the distance that she has, will translate very easily into the WNBA.
And that goes back to the concept we're talking about. Now she's going to be on a team where she doesn't have to really be the star. She'll get some rest, like 5 or 10 minute rest periods, and then she's got the people around her, just like those ones from Connecticut that was saying what they did, because they had a great players around them. Now, we'll see that. I think we'll see that when she's on the Olympic team, what a difference it'll make.
If she had just said her defense needs to improve to be truly great at the next level, I would have no problem with that because it does. Yeah. But Taurasi probably didn't say that because she's not really that great a defender. She averages less than a steal a game in her WNBA career. And Clark, by the way, got more steals in her college career than Taurasi did, 1.8 to 1.2. So, and a lot more defensive rebounds, like 6.7 to like 4.3 or something. I looked it up. Yeah. So she was, not that really good a defender even at either level, Taurasi. But she's a great player. Don't get me wrong. She might be one of the 5 greatest players ever. But guess what? She only had 1 AP Player of the Year and only 1 MVP in 9 seasons in the WNBA. So she's not as great as people say she is. Let's put it that way. I'm not trying to put her down. I'm just saying She's not the
No,
greatest player of all time in the WNBA, and she's not the greatest college player of all time. She's
no,
neither
no,
one of those.
no, neither one.
She's just a great player.
Right.
She's an icon and all that, but she's just looks jealous to me.
Which, well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like I said, for I don't know. I mean, I can't get into her mentality, but I mean, I would be like, this is cool. I would be enthused about this. I mean, like you said, oh, when you come in, of course, you got to say that you're coming to the league, better watch out. It's not going to be that easy. Okay, yeah, I know that it's not going to be that easy, but hey, I'm kind of good. I'm kind of good. So you might better watch out for me.
I don't know. That 18 to 20, the fact that she said 18-year-olds instead of 18 to 23-year-olds or 18 to 22-year-olds, which is a huge difference. That sounded like Cheryl Swoops all over again. And I'm just wondering, when will these women learn their lesson? The jealousy of Clark by other women is unrelenting and self-defeating. If Clark succeeds, all the women in the WNBA will make more money.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We're going to make more money. It's going to be more advertising. I mean, I already see it. It's almost like I was always thinking about a commercial with her and Reese doing a remake of the Larry Bird, Michael Jordan thing, like playing the horse game. I mean, that'd be a freaking awesome commercial for them.
They're already planning to promote her in the NBA because they're going to have that 3-point shot.
Right.
I guess they're going to put Klay Thompson and Curry with her and Sabrina. I can't pronounce her last name, and it's going to be like a pair thing. They're going to do that, and that sounds fascinating. They're going to get higher. They're going to get the highest ratings ever for the Saturday night, pre-game All-Star highlight show. When they do that, the NBA isn't jealous of her. They're going to use her for publicity.
Yeah, they're smart. I mean, they see this. They see, hey, they're smart about it. But I don't know, but hey, who is she to come in our league? She's going to have problems. Think she's going to come in here? Okay. I just know. Oh my goodness.
We'll see what happens. Like you said, I don't know. It's impossible to say how good Caitlin Clark is compared to the other players in the WNBA since she hasn't played against them. Mm-hmm. But there's only two people in the league I'm convinced for sure. I'm not saying she's the third best player in the world. There's only two that I'm sure are better than her, and that's Breanna Stewart and AJ Wilson, who are the two best players in the league right now. They won the last two MVPs. So I don't know, where she ranks in there. She ranks somewhere between like 3rd and 10th, I would say, because I think she should be in the Olympic team. So that's just my personal opinion. I can't prove it, and it seems silly for me even to guess, further than that. But that's just my opinion. What do you think, Rob?
Just everything. I mean, I agree with everything you said. Just we'll see, and I'm looking forward for her to be on the Olympic team, and I think that'll really definitely shut up all the haters. Like when she gets around the people, they're happy that she's there. They'll be enthused. It seems like it's always like I said, the older generation, the old school, like they're the ones who are talking all this smack about her. But just relax, and it's good for the women's game. You should be happy.
Yeah, so she missed the tryout, initial tryout for the team. There's 14 people listed on the team. She has to beat out 2 of them. I hope it's Taurasi right now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope they cut Taurasi. They probably won't. But I don't even know if Taurasi is at her age, she's still one of the top 12 WNBA players in the U.S. She probably is.
She's not. She's not.
I don't even know if I don't think she didn't make second team or first team All Pro last year, so she might not be.
No.
So all those Taurasi fans just relax. She might not be. So who knows? But the only pure point guard they have, because Sue Bird retired, is Chelsea Gray, and she only averages like 6 or 7 assists. And that's not so impressive. I'm sure I really haven't seen her play much. I'm sure she's a good player.
She's a good ball player. Chelsea Gray is good passer, good shooter, and defense. Yeah, she's very good.
But they need her on the Olympic team because Sue Bird retired. That was the best point guard they had. So
and she'd be playing with Kelsey Plum, the person whose record she broke.
I mean,
record that'd be really cool. You got two of those scorers out there.
There's a lot of pressure to put her on, but I think she deserves to be pounded on whether there's pressure or not. But if they pull that Candace Parker thing like in 2016 and keep her off for political reasons, I will boycott the WNBA.
Yeah, I might not. I mean, it's barely watched anyway. I don't think anybody would be like, what is this?
Right. I might not even watch, and I love the Olympics, and I watch every men's and women's Olympic basketball game. I've watched every one, I think, since
Me too.
1968.
Yeah, me
And if
too.
she's not on the team, I'm not watching one game by those teams. I'll be so pissed off at them. There's no way she's not one of the top 12 players.
Are you gonna carry around a little sign around the arena like, hey?
I'm just not gonna watch. And just I'll watch every men's game. I'll watch almost all the Olympics in prime time. I've done it. I've done that since 1968. I love the Olympics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I know it's too, commercialized and all that, but I still love it.
Oh yeah.
We'll cover the Olympics, by the way. We do basketball and football, but when the Olympics come around, we're going to cover it for you because it's that important and that big a deal and that exciting. As I said in the beginning, it was sad that Caitlin Clark lost her final game. She made the finals 2 years in a row, which I think was very impressive, but doesn't have a championship, unfortunately. And so some people will be saying she can't be considered the GOAT, or even not even being considered for one of the GOATs, which that last statement is insane. But I'm going to argue otherwise. And it wouldn't matter whether I was a Caitlin Clark fan or not, or whether it was anybody. It doesn't matter who it would be. I'd make the same argument that I'm going to make right now for college players.
Okay.
It's different for pros. They have a longer career, and they can actually do things like LeBron did and Kevin Durant did, where they can change teams to chase championships. Right. In college, you could do that now. You can do the transfer portal, but they couldn't before. But you can't pick your teammates. And she decided to go to Iowa to build up that program, and she did it with flying colors. So I think that's very impressive and more difficult than winning a championship with a stacked Connecticut team or anything, or even a South Carolina team.
South Carolina, Stanford,
So people say, oh, you got to have a championship to want to be a GOAT. And I saw a really good comment, and I wish I had said it myself. They said, if you want to be the GOAT, go to a school where they've never won it before.
Exactly.
And drag them to a championship.
Right.
So that argument's a good counter argument.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to do a video on championships and how much you should rate them on in terms of rating athletes and how important it is and how I think it's overrated in some instances, not in the NBA and not usually in the NBA and not for quarterbacks in football, but right. Most of the other times it's overrated. Anyways, so she's going to end her career with two finals and 2 losses. But if you took any other player besides her on those 2 teams in the history of women's basketball, I don't think any of them could have dragged those teams to the finals. I don't think any of them would have beat South Carolina last year in the semis or beaten both Connecticut and LSU in a row this year. Right. Even Cheryl Miller, she'd be the closest that could do that. And I'm a huge Cheryl Miller fan, as I've said before, and she's my previous GOAT for the last 50 years. And so I don't think any of them, there's no way Diana Taurasi would have done it. I'm going to pick on her again. But Brianna Stewart, Candace Parker, Maya Moore, Kamika Holtzclaw, all great players in their era. And they're all more accomplished with championships than her, but that doesn't make them a better player. It makes them more accomplished team-wise. This myopic ring counting to me seems really unfair and wrong. That's my personal opinion about that. If you just look at her abilities to make her teammates better and to just control the whole game in terms of the outcome of the game, nobody has been able to do that I think in the history of women's college basketball. And so it seems unfair to me because she chose not to go to if she had gone to South Carolina, she would have won 6 championships.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
She would have really upset Cheryl Swoops because she would have had 2 extra years.
Right. Exactly. Like she said. Yeah, no doubt.
But that's my feeling. She had statistics, advanced statistics, and the all-important eye test all tell me that she's better than anybody else. So I don't care what other people say.
Yeah, just the general eye, like you said, just general eye test will show you that. And just with the past semifinals and finals games, the viewer watching, you know, people who've never watched women's basketball game came to watch her play because they heard about it. Who's this Caitlin Clark girl that everybody are talking about? And so she lifted up. I mean, like I said, if she had played she had probably had to score like maybe 50 points, but she still could have beaten South Carolina by herself because of her. So just the way they're hating and just to down her and say she's not going to be this, she's not going to be that. I don't know what they're watching. She's a phenomenal player. She's going to be great. She is great. She's going to be even greater.
I'm on record of saying what I think is going to happen, unless some super talent that also has Michael Jordan's brain that's more talented. Like Juju Watkins is more physically talented than her, but I'm not convinced she has Michael Jordan's brain in her like Caitlin Clark does. But so unless somebody in the next 10 years comes around with that exact combination, which is very unusual, that's why Caitlin Clark's a once a generational player. I'm going down saying she's going to be the best player in the league within her third year. And in 10 or 12 years from now, they're going to say that she's the best player ever. And I will say that, yes, she has to get several MVPs, several WNBA championships, and she has to improve her defense in order for that to happen. Mm-hmm. But I know she's possessed to be the best player of all time, and I think she'll do it if these jealous women don't injure her every time she drives towards the basket and ends her career with too many major injuries.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you feel that now she's leaving the game, the college game, do you think the viewership will maintain its higher level, or is it going to drop down?
That's the great question, and I don't think anybody knows. But obviously, the viewership is going to go down next year. There's no way they're going to get 18.7 in the championship game,
right?
And I think also that in the WNBA, anytime she's on TV, the ratings will go through the roof,
right?
But how much that affects all the other games that are televised on WNBA is anybody's guess. They're obviously going to grow up some because Clark is going to draw more attention. How much?
I feel every game it's going to be like the rookie for San Antonio, the young man from France. They put him on there, and because of that, he's this huge sensation. So the viewership goes up to see what is he about? How is he really that good? So yeah, I think unfortunately, her games are going to be more on TV than other games will be. I'm very sure, of course, which makes sense. We want to make money, so
I have one last argument on Caitlin Clark and not having to have a championship to the best player of all time, and I'm going to pick on Diana Taurasi again because she deserves it.
I'm gonna give her your number, and
I'm sure. Okay, so she's considered. Sometimes people consider her the GOAT, which I don't know how over Brianna Stewart or Cheryl Miller, but Cheryl in college, Diana Taurasi had one Player of the Year and one Wade Trophy. Clark had two of each. And you want to talk about defense? Clark had better stats in two defensive categories, which I mentioned earlier: steals and defensive rebounds. Taurasi led in blocks. Offensively, it's not even close. Yeah. Clark 28.4 to 15 for Taurasi. 8.2 assists to 4.5. Rebounds 7.1 to 4.5. I was surprised by the huge differences. I thought Taurasi's numbers were going to be bigger than that.
Wow.
Assist to turnover ratio, better for Clark, 1.8 to 1.6. 3-point shooting, Clark 0.392 to 0.377. Free throw percentage better, 858 to 817. Advantage Taurasi in turnovers. She had fewer turnovers than Clark, 2.8 to 4.6. And her field goal percentage and 2-point field goal percentage is like a couple hundreds better, almost equal, but they were slightly better. Although Clark's shooting percentage and turnovers would be better if she didn't play on if she played on a stacked team and didn't have to carry the whole team.
Right.
But to me, the eye test in making her teammates better is not even close. And I think it borders on insanity that Taurasi can be the GOAT given those numbers and is high up in the conversation merely because she was one Player of the Year and she only had one Player of the Year championship with stacked teams. But Clark can't even be in the conversation because she doesn't have a championship, even though she's clearly the better player to me than Taurasi. So to me, there's no logic to that argument. And so that's my last thing I want to say about that. And we'll see what happens, how she does in the WNBA.
Yeah, we all know. I mean, we all know what's going to happen. She's going to be great, and that's how you shut people up. You just let them talk, and then you just go out and do your thing and enjoy the game and kick butt, which she's going to do.
So for next year, we'll finish this up with women's college basketball for next year. Like I said, we don't know what the rating's going to be, but there is a potential reason why the ratings will be high next year, because South Carolina, I'm sure will have a great team next year. They have ESPN has this women's NCAA basketball way too early top 25 for 2024 top 25, and not surprisingly, they have South Carolina first. Mm-hmm. Besides, they have they're losing Cardoso, but they always get good recruits. And who knows, they may get someone in the transfer portal like they got Pavio, right. Whatever, I pronounce her name right. But they have the number 2 recruit called Joyce Edwards coming in too. All right, so I can see them being number 1. It surprised me that Texas was second and Notre Dame was third and UConn was only 4th, because UConn made it to the Final Four with 5 injured players, and they have the incoming number 1 recruit freshman called Sarah Strong, who's this forward who's really good and can hit the 3 and has great skills. So that surprised me. I know you don't agree with this order here. I know you think UConn's going to be it's going to be 1 or 2.
Yeah, I think UConn would be 2. Would be 2. I'll make my predictions. It'll be South Carolina and UConn in the final.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. I can't imagine that. It cannot happen because it's single elimination. But if it was a best of 7 series in a tournament with the top 8 teams or 16 teams, there's no question in my mind those would be the 2 teams in the finals.
Yeah, very easily.
And USC with Juju Watkins is 5th. And the other thing I find fascinating is who's going to win Player of the Year next year. And I think Paige Beckers will most likely win it, with Juju Watkins being the runner-up. But Juju Watkins could improve so much, could go through the roof and be the Player of the Year. I don't know. I think she's super talented.
Yeah.
But she needs to improve on her. She has more turnovers than assists, and her shooting percentage really isn't that great for a high volume scorer. I'm sure both of those will improve next year, though. But she's a very good defender.
Oh yeah, like I said, she's young. So. Yeah. So we'll see.
That's our show for today, and please make a like and subscribe, and make some comments down below. Intelligent comments are preferred, and sometime we're going to have a live show. You can call in and tell us how dumb our opinions are. As long as you don't call us dumb personally, I'm cool with that.
Okay.
And anyway, so we'll see you later, and until next time.
All right. Peace out.